Welcome back to our series on the life of Cristiano Ronaldo. In our last episode, we saw a young boy with an insatiable hunger for football, playing on the streets of Madeira from morning till night. Today, we dive into the very first chapter of his organized football journey, a time that would forge his character in the fires of competition. At just 7 years old, Cristiano's life took a pivotal turn. His father, Diniz, who worked as a kit man for a local club named Madeira, saw the raw, untamed talent in his son. He knew Cristiano's passion deserved a bigger stage than the dusty streets of Santo Antonio. So, he encouraged Cristiano to join the club. This wasn't just a suggestion. It was an invitation into a world that would define him. Madeira, which means swallow in Portuguese, was a humble club, but for young Cristiano, it was the grandest stadium in the world. Pulling on that first real jersey, lacing up his boots for a proper team, this was a dream come true. From his very first training session, it was clear he was different. The other kids were there for fun, to kick a ball around with their friends. But for Cristiano, every single moment on that pitch was a matter of life and death. He was smaller than many of his teammates, but his skill was already miles ahead. He could dribble past players with a speed and flair that seemed unnatural for a boy his age. His control of the ball was mesmerizing. His coaches and the parents watching from the sidelines were astounded. They saw a spark, a fierce determination that set him apart. He didn't just play the game, he lived it, breathed it, and felt every single second of it with an intensity that was almost unnerving. This intensity, however, had another side. Cristiano hated losing more than anything. It wasn't just disappointment, it was a deep, gut-wrenching pain. If his team was losing a match, or if a pass didn't reach him, or if he missed a chance to score, his emotions would pour out. Tears would stream down his face, not of sadness, but of pure, unadulterated frustration. He couldn't comprehend why his teammates didn't share his burning desire to win at all costs. This passionate display earned him a nickname among his teammates, Coro, which translates to crybaby. Some kids would tease him, calling him the boy who cries. But they misunderstood. Those weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of a perfectionist, a born winner who simply couldn't accept anything less than victory. Every tear was a testament to his incredible passion and his sky-high standards for himself and his team, even at such a tender age. His father, Diniz, watching from the sidelines, understood. He would try to console his son, telling him that it was just a game. But for Cristiano, it was never just a game. Each match was a battle, and he was a warrior. This period at Madeira was crucial. It's where he first learned to channel that raw emotion, that fiery passion, into fuel for his performance. The crybaby nickname might have stung, but it only made him more determined to prove everyone wrong, to become so good that losing was no longer an option. This was the crucible where the mindset of a champion was being forged. It was on the modest pitches of Madeira that the world got its first glimpse of the relentless, emotional, and unbelievably talented boy who would one day conquer the world of football. Join us next time as Cristiano's talent begins to attract the attention of bigger clubs on the island, setting the stage for the next leap in his incredible journey. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter. At just 10 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo was already the talk of Madeira. His time with Madeira had turned him into a local legend, a boy whose talent was impossible to ignore. But Madeira was just the beginning. The next chapter of his journey would see him take a significant step up, moving to one of Madeira's biggest clubs, Nacional. This was a move that would not only test his abilities at a higher level, but also put him squarely on the radar of scouts from mainland Portugal. The decision to move wasn't taken lightly. Both of Madeira's top clubs, Nacional and Maritimo, were desperate to sign him. Imagine being 10 years old and having the two biggest teams in your region fighting over you. Maritimo's representatives even met with Madeira's president, but ultimately, Nacional presented the more compelling offer. They offered a set of kits and equipment for Ronaldo's youth team at Madeira, a deal that was too good for the small club to refuse. So, in 1995, Cristiano Ronaldo officially became a player for Club Desportivo Nacional. Stepping onto the training ground at Nacional was like entering a new world. The facilities were better, the coaching was more structured, and the competition was fiercer. He was no longer just the standout kid from a small neighborhood team. He was now playing alongside the best young players in Madeira. But if anyone thought the pressure would get to him, they were mistaken. For Ronaldo, this new environment was simply a bigger stage on which to shine. He adapted almost instantly. His skills, which had already seemed advanced, continued to develop at an astonishing pace. His dribbling became even more refined, his speed was electric, and his knack for scoring goals was undeniable. He played with a confidence that bordered on arrogance, but he always backed it up with his performance on the pitch. His coaches at Nacional were amazed. They knew they had a special talent, a diamond in the rough. They pushed him hard, honing his raw ability into a more disciplined and effective style of play. During his time at Nacional, Ronaldo helped the team win the regional youth championship. He was the star player, the one everyone looked to when the team needed a moment of magic. He would take the ball, weave past several defenders as if they weren't there, and score breathtaking goals. His reputation grew beyond the confines of Madeira. Stories of this phenomenal boy from a small island began to circulate among the football community on the Portuguese mainland. This is where the story takes a pivotal turn. Scouts from the big three clubs in Portugal, Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, and Porto started hearing whispers about the kid from Nacional. It wasn't long before they began making the trip to Madeira to see him for themselves. One of the first to recognize his extraordinary potential was a scout named Aurelio Pereira. The legendary head of Sporting Lisbon's youth academy, Pereira had heard about Ronaldo from his contact in Madeira, who described a player unlike any he had ever seen. Intrigued, Pereira sent a scout to watch him play. The report that came back was glowing. It confirmed everything he had heard and more. The scout was adamant. Sporting had to sign this boy, no matter the cost. But Sporting wasn't the only one interested. Other scouts had also seen Ronaldo play and were equally impressed. A bidding war was brewing for the young prodigy. However, Ronaldo had a godfather, Fernando Sousa, who had a strong connection to Sporting Lisbon. Sousa personally recommended Ronaldo to the club, urging them to give him a trial. He knew that Sporting S. Alcaide Academy was the best place in the country for a young player to develop. After some discussion and negotiation, Nacional agreed to let Ronaldo go for a trial in Lisbon. They owed Sporting a debt of around €22,500, and they proposed to clear that debt in exchange for their prized young player. It was a deal that would go down in history as one of the greatest bargains in football. So, at the age of 12, Cristiano Ronaldo prepared for the biggest trip of his life. He was about to leave his island, his family, and everything he had ever known to chase his dream on the mainland. It was a daunting prospect for any child, but for Ronaldo, it was the opportunity he had been working for his entire young life. The boy from Madeira was about to step onto the national stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter in Ronaldo's incredible story. The summer of 1997. For a 12-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, this was everything. He was about to leave his island home of Madeira for the very first time, traveling to mainland Portugal for a trial with one of the country's biggest clubs, Sporting CP. This wasn't just a tryout, it was a leap into the unknown, a chance to turn a childhood dream into a tangible reality. The pressure was immense. Imagine being that young, carrying the hopes of your family and the weight of your own ambition on your shoulders. He knew this was his one shot. He couldn't afford to fail. The journey itself was an adventure. The flight from Madeira to Lisbon was a first for him, a metal bird soaring through the clouds, taking him further away from everything he'd ever known. The sights and sounds of the capital city were a world away from the familiar streets of Funchal. Lisbon was bigger, louder, faster. For a boy from a small island, it was both intimidating and exhilarating. But Cristiano wasn't there for sightseeing. He had a singular focus, the training ground at Sporting's famed academy, the Alcaide. This was the place where legends like Luis Figo were forged. Now, it was his turn to prove he belonged. He arrived at the academy, a skinny kid with an unwavering determination in his eyes. He looked around at the other boys, some older, some bigger, all vying for the same limited spots. The coaches watched from the sidelines, their gazes sharp and analytical, missing nothing. They had heard whispers about this talented kid from Madeira, but whispers weren't enough. They needed to see it for themselves. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. Every touch of the ball, every pass, every sprint would be scrutinized. For Ronaldo, the trial had officially begun. The first few drills were a blur of motion. Ronaldo, despite his nerves, let his instincts take over. His feet moved with a life of their own, the ball seemingly an extension of his body. He showcased his blistering pace, his quick changes of direction, and a level of technical skill that was advanced for his age. The coaches exchanged impressed glances. This boy had something special, a raw, untamed talent that was hard to ignore. But skill alone wasn't the only thing they were looking for. They wanted to see his football intelligence, his ability to play within a team, and his composure under pressure. The trial culminated in a practice match. This was the real test. It wasn't just about individual brilliance anymore. It was about making the right decisions for the team. Ronaldo was on fire, dribbling past defenders as if they weren't there. He was a constant threat, his energy infectious. He created chance after chance, but the final touch, the goal, remained elusive. He knew he needed to make a definitive statement, something that would leave no doubt in the coaches' minds. Time was running out, and the pressure was mounting with every passing second. He needed a moment. Then, the moment came. A play developed, and Ronaldo found himself in a promising position. He was joined by another talented kid, Albert Fantrao. They were both racing towards the goal, with only the goalkeeper to beat. Albert got to the ball first. He had a clear, open shot. It was an easy goal, a chance for personal glory. Anyone else in his position would have taken the shot without a second thought. It was his chance to impress the coaches, to secure his own future at the prestigious academy. But Albert did something extraordinary, something that would change the course of football history. Instead of shooting, he looked up and saw Ronaldo running alongside him in an even better position. In a split second, he made a decision that defied all logic for a young player in a high-stakes trial. He selflessly passed the ball. He laid it off perfectly for Cristiano, who was left with a simple tap and into an empty net. Goal! The coaches erupted in applause, not just for the goal, but for the play itself. It was the decisive moment. After the match, Ronaldo was ecstatic. He had scored. He had made his mark. He went over to Albert, his heart full of gratitude. "Why?" he asked. "Why didn't you shoot? It was an easy goal for you." Albert's reply was simple and profound. "Because you're better than me," he said. That was it. In that one moment of selfless honesty, Albert Fantrao recognized the prodigious, once-in-a-generation talent standing next to him. He knew that by giving Ronaldo that goal, he was helping a future legend take his first step. The sporting coaches agreed. They had seen enough. The combination of Ronaldo's breathtaking skill and that incredible display of teamwork sealed the deal. They approached him after the trial and offered him a place in their academy. The skinny kid from Madeira had done it. He had passed the trial. The contract was signed for a modest fee, and Cristiano Ronaldo was officially a sporting CP player. It was the culmination of years of hard work and the beginning of a journey that would take him to the very pinnacle of the sport. Years later, when Cristiano was a global superstar, a journalist asked him about that pivotal moment. Ronaldo, with complete sincerity, recounted the story of Albert Fantrao's pass. He told the world that his career, his success, everything he had achieved, he owed in large part to his friend's selfless act that day. The journalist, intrigued, tracked down Albert Fantrao. He found him living a comfortable life, not as a professional footballer, but unemployed. The journalist asked, "How do you have this house, this car? You don't have a job." Albert smiled and said, "It's from Cristiano." That single pass had forged a bond for life. Cristiano never forgot the friend who sacrificed his own dream to help launch his. It's a powerful reminder that behind every great success story, there are often unsung heroes and moments of incredible generosity. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for the next chapter in the story of Cristiano Ronaldo.